There was a guy there who bought spare gimbals from military surplus sales around the world. They had cobbled together this whole, it was mind-blowing. It was so much fun.
Jackson, come in. Jackson!
Thanks for sitting with me today.
Yeah.
So what kind of headspace do you think the fans of the show should come into the new season with?
Well, I think what's wonderful about this show is how personal the experience is for fans. I've been a part of other series and movies that has, similar level of, intensity from the fan base, like the Batman. People are insane about that, and they take it personally, and that's great. Westworld, you had people, other HBO show I was involved with, you had people who were writing whole theories. They were basically writing whole kind of alternative scripts online. For me, those stories were really a part of the show. They were just kind of an extension of the show. I love that people have that level of passion for it. And so I think, for fans of this show, they'll just bring what they've already built, and there's that, curiosity and love and concern and for these characters and some sense of connection to this world and to the experiences that these people are going through. I don't know why, it touches on things, I don't know, that I guess are universal. There's this, kind of plague at the center of it that we're all, reasonably familiar with. So it's just sometimes you get this magic mixture of things together and they work. And this show is that. And yeah, I think people just bring that passion to it. I think they have some curiosity about my character, whether or not we'll dig deeper into who he is than is done in the game. Maybe that'll be satisfied. We'll see. But just bring what they've already brought, just an enjoyment and a love for it.
It's okay. I know their names, and I know where they're from. The girl with the braid. Abby.
You're one of only 2 actors that have had a hand in both the game and TV show. What's that been like for you?
We're in the middle of it now. I'm really pleased to be a part of it. There's a very simple explanation for me as to why I'm in the game. It's because my son was a fan. I happened to meet Neil Druckmann because he was a fan of Westworld, and he wanted to meet, and he hinted at my maybe, having some interest perhaps in being in the game, would that be possible? I was like, you never know. And then Shannon Woodward was an actor on Westworld. She was working on the game. Hallie Gross was a writer on Westworld, had been writing the game. She's a writer for the show now. She kind of nudged me along. And then I asked my son, I said, what is this? Do you know anything about this game, The Last of Us? What? You gotta do it. So that's why I did it. I had no expectation that it would be anything more than that, just a little, kind of gift to my son. I do work for a variety of reasons. I try to do good stuff. I try to do stuff that's compelling to me, that's smart, that's with a group of people who are good at what they do. And then sometimes the added benefit is that when I do that, I do something that my kids think is cool. And that's why I did this. And now it's expanded into this, incredibly popular global sensation that the show has become. And they asked me if I wanted to come back and revisit. And now the other person who's in the game and also in the show, I don't know what their story is, but that's mine.
A moth. That probably means change and growth.
No, that would be a butterfly.
So what's a moth?
Death. If you believe in that shit.
And what kind of mind frame were you in, having known so much about the game? Does that kind of convolute your acting style, or does that enhance it?
No, when we did the game, it was obviously motion capture, so the set was not entirely different than what you see here. There's there are a couple stands there, there's like an X on a thing, that's supposed to be a doorknob, there's some lines on the floor, that's the wall, there's the door, it's like a car, it's like super minimal. The show is like the realization of that. I mean, that was kind of, obviously digital information that's going to be made for, to create this immersive experience inside the game. But the show is fully realized, and it's really very cool in terms of the level of world building and the level of stagecraft and the talent of that, is brought to bear by everyone, not just the actors, us, but, all of the creative people who it takes, to work together to make a show of this scale and this quality. It takes a lot. And you see it on screen, just this expansive world that allows you to kind of, disappear inside as a viewer. That's like the big difference, from working on the game to this, is that you really kind of sense the immersion when you're on set. I love that aspect of what we do, of what this work is about. People think that this work, it's glamorous, a bunch of actors run around dancing around, blah, blah, blah. For me, what I really get off on is working with everybody together, working with the carpenters, working with the electricians, working with these engineers who, have designed and built, these, at times, like in this show, incredibly complicated, sets and things like that. And everybody kind of gathered around together with the common purpose of telling a good story. And when you hit it right and you find yourself with the right group of people who are smart, hardworking, good at what they do, and you find a story that people are drawn to, that speaks to them, it's special, but it only happens because of the people involved. That's what I really love the most about this. This is, one of those rare ones where, for whatever reason, people around the world are touched by it. It's much better than the alternative when you're in a show that nobody wants to see. This is much better. This is good.
Have you been there?
Oh, yeah, I've been in a couple.
Yeah.
I've been in one or two that I didn't want anybody to see.
Yeah.
It was a Stallone movie I did years ago. Ooh, man, that was rough. Those things keep you humble. Thankfully, very few people have seen it.
We have automatic weapons. You lunatics have bows and arrows and superstition. So tell me, how are we going to lose?
Well, that sounds like an incredibly satisfying process for you.
Yeah.
Game to TV show.
Yeah.
And what was the most memorable or fun part of shooting this TV series?
There's a series of scenes that we shot. Again, it just goes back to the level of world building that goes into this show. And we shot out in the middle of nowhere, like in the woods, some clearing somewhere outside of Vancouver, a couple hours outside of Vancouver, if I'm not mistaken. And there was this rig that they had built that was the most outrageous design. I won't give anything away, but man, it was like, there was a guy there who bought spare gimbals from military surplus sales around the world. They had cobbled together this whole, it was mind-blowing. It was so much fun.
So it comes back to those people.
It comes back to the theater of it all, the illusion of it all, and what goes into creating the experience for the audience. I love that stuff. That was the most fun thing. I can't give too much away, though, because you have no idea what I'm talking about, and you probably shouldn't. Until that episode comes out.
Well, I'm getting very excited just hearing about it. Thank
Cool.
you very much, Jeffrey.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.